Hello!
Hi, guys! Friday with Friends!
Welcome to
Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Friday with Friends! Dramatic pause for effect.
Yes.
How is everybody?
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for tuning in. To those of you who are new, Friday with Friends is our opportunity to answer questions, to talk about what's going on in the market, so that if you or your friends or your family have any real estate needs, you will think of us to help representing you, buying, selling, investing, or anything in between.
Oh, that could be a jingle in itself.
Ooh. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Mal.
Hi,
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks for joining.
So, what we are chatting about today, hi Katie, Snuggle Weston, hi Maggie, oh gosh, hi everybody.
Mandy, all the babies.
All the babies, all the babies. So what are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about selling your home. So last Friday with Friends, which was a week or two ago, we talked about if buying was one of your New Year's resolutions for 2019 or 2020.
Yes.
How it's never too early to start. And so now we are talking about sellers.
Yes, and sometimes, let me tell you, either process can feel so overwhelming, but for us, we want to break down some things that you can do to start you on the process.
Yes.
Now, you may say, listen, I need to list tomorrow, and we can do that too. You just had that happen, right?
Yeah. I had someone reach out to us on Friday, a week from today. Yeah. And they said, we need to put our house on the market next week. So I met with them on Monday. We got pictures on Tuesday, and it was on the market by Wednesday.
So we want to preface this where there's so many things you can do if you're looking to buy or sell. There's so many things we can do to prepare. And at the same time, if you're just ready to go, we can rock and roll too. So want to start with that, and we'll kind of tune into it. But the plan is to break down some things that you can do. Like, I don't know about you guys. Give me a like or love if you love crossing things off a list.
I know you do. Love it. She has her little journal.
I still do paper for that reason.
Oh, I can't.
No, she doesn't. But I still do paper for that reason because I love crossing things off. Where I'm going with it is if you're like, hey, listen, we're not going to sell for a little while. There are things that you can do right now that you can create this list and this outline so you can feel like you're making progress so that when we do get to that point, you are going to be in a great, great spot. So that's what we'll get into.
Perfect. And you know what made me think about that is if you're watching this video and you're like, I wish that they would just write it all out for me. We can also do that too. So comment, send us an email.
In podcasting worlds, hashtag show notes.
Oh my gosh. Mandy's future. Get ready for it. But you always just message us, write us a comment if you're like, can you write this out for us? And we can take our notes and send them right to you too, because sometimes it's easier to look at it versus listening to our lovely voices on a Friday.
Hi, everyone that hopped in.
Guys.
Thanks for joining us, guys. All right, so some reminders. Feel free, all of you that are on here, say hi. We love to chat with you. Help us by sharing. Send it to anyone you think of that might be, able to use this information. And then if you guys have any comments or questions or have anything to add of value, we would love, love, love comments, likes, loves, all of that. So,
perfect.
Yes, there we are. All right,
great.
So let's get into it. How many do we have? Four things today coming at you. Okay, so Abby, if I'm looking to buy or if I'm looking to sell in 2019, even 2020, what's the first thing that's going to be so important for me to do?
Understand why you want to sell. Really sit down for a second, have a cup of coffee with your sister. It's water. It's water. But really identify why do I want to sell? Is it something that I want to just because I want to, which that's a thing, I want a bigger house, I want a better house, I want this, I want that, or is it something that you must sell? And the reasons behind that are a different job, a job promotion, you want to downsize because that style home just doesn't work for you anymore, or maybe you need to move out of state, whether that's for work or for family. So I'm really understanding why you want to sell and what your motivation is.
And sometimes, I joke, sometimes I can be emotional, ask my husband, but I just want something. Like I want it. And so for us to be able to really get clear on, okay, what is it about this? Is it, yes, I got this job that offers me a promotion so we can afford a bigger house? Or is it, listen, I'm getting older and I just really am starting to not be able to maintain this house anymore. We have clients that have that they have bought a home and then they want to just rent a home because they're like, it's just feeling like it's too overwhelming. I want to travel. I want to be able to have a transient lifestyle. So if I take a job somewhere else, I can move at a drop of a hat. So all of these reasons to really dig into why is selling important to me, so that that going in.
Exactly. So really identifying, number one on our list is identifying what is your motivation.
Identifying your motivation and getting clear about it, being okay with it, which then leads us to
number two.
And the second piece is to then say, okay, well, what is my timeline? So now that you know, and like I said, even if it's emotional, this is why it's so helpful to understand that. Yes. We'll have clients that are like, well, I don't know, like I think we want to move like sometime this year. And then we're like, okay, so what about Christmas? Do you see yourself being in your new home by Christmas? Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, yes, we better be in our home by Christmas. We're like, good, so you have a timeline. Yes. So it's definitely Christmas. What about Thanksgiving? So we start to get clear on that timeline, and it's fun to kind of think about.
Definitely. And there's a lot of things that can go into your timeline. Again, maybe you're starting that new job and you need to be in North Carolina by June. That is definitely really important to think about. Or maybe even your kids are starting school, or they're starting in a new school and you need to wait until the end of this school year. Yeah. That's super important as well, to really analyze that timeline and how we can, work with you to make that timeline work.
Mm-hmm. And also, why this is so important too is because we want this process to be as smooth as possible for you. And then sometimes we have clients who are like, okay, well, I have this really big project at my job that's going, like, I'm heavy and crazy working in the spring. So I don't know if spring's going to be the best time to maybe add something more to my plate. Or, that's actually the best time because I'm out of the house more. So that's a perfect time.
Yeah, better for showings.
Better for showings. The kids aren't home screwing up the house as much. So you start to think of, okay, based off my motivation, what kind of things are important for timelines? People start to think of if they want to move in the winter, if they don't. Everyone always says, when is the best time to sell a house? And there is not a clear-cut answer. The best time to sell a house is when it's going to be best for you. Right. Because there are advantages and disadvantages, and that's in another one of our episodes, advantages and disadvantages of when you should sell. In the spring, yes, there's a lot more buyers out there, but the inventory is also higher. In the winter, yes, you do have to deal with it, but those are serious buyers that are going out to look. So there's positives and negatives in the timelines. We want this focused specifically on you. Once we dig in, we'll say how we can talk about different markets, but that's why timeline's important.
Exactly. A lot of buyers in the winter are not going to be trekking through the snow to look at houses unless they're motivated and serious buyers. So there's not a perfect time. But again, every situation is different, and we'll definitely talk through that.
Yeah. And then the final piece with timing is about the buying side.
Right. So if you are buying a home, whether it's here in our market or somewhere else, whether it's, out of the area or out of state, you really want to work on your timeline and what does that look like when I'm buying a new house? Some people have, with their job, maybe have different relocation packages where that doesn't matter. Let me just get down there and I'll sell my house. But some people really have to work to line up those closing dates. So that's really critical as well to analyze the closing dates and, okay, how can we line them up? Do we need to do a rent? Like, let me get down there, let me get to my new house and rent that for a little bit, or vice versa, where I'm renting my house after I close. There's so many different ways, but we can make it work for you.
And we'll put a plug in for our last Friday with Friends, like Abby said, is that we've gotten such positive feedback and people saying that was so helpful because they were able to lay down the foundation and the timing on the buy side, which then helps us on the sell side. So that's why we wanted to start with that so that you can create that timeline and how hard is it going to be to find what you're looking for, because that's when we decide on the timing here. So that's the final piece we wanted to make sure we touched on.
For sure. Okay.
All right. So, it's this motivation and this timeline that's going to lay the basis for number 3.
Number 3 is listing consultation. So this is what I do for the most part, is sitting down with our sellers and really talking about everything that it takes to sell a house. And like we always say, it's never ever too early to start. So whether your timeline that we've discussed is 6 months, a year, 4 years, that's fine. It's never too early to start, because you'll see that we really go through a lot of things that it's always good to have that ahead of time so you can really prepare and not feel rushed at all.
So what are some things that we're talking about? Hi to everybody. Hi Kelly. Hi Nick. Hey Virginia.
Hey.
Hi Danny, Jennifer. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Feel free to comment or add any questions if you guys have anything for us.
Perfect.
Okay, so what are you talking about in the listing consult?
Okay, so in the listing consult, one of the first things that we'll do is take a tour around the house. In this tour, what we'll talk about is staging. We'll talk about a to-do list, which I want to definitely make sure we point on, and we'll talk about different tips if there's anything that we feel needs to be done, and also what you've done. So if you've done any upgrades to the house since you purchased, this flooring is new, even if it's a new light fixture, I want to know about it, because that's how we can squeeze as much value out as possible. Do you want to talk on that to-do list a little bit?
Yeah, so whenever we're talking to clients, they're like, okay, well, I have to do this, and it's so overwhelming, and people don't know where to start. They don't know how to prioritize. Well, should I be doing this? And I know you even gone into houses and people had this massive list, and you're like, you might not get the return on your investment, right?
Right. So we're making sure that your to-do list is prioritized with what is going to give you the best return on investment, and also the best return on your time too. Because what we're finding is in a strong market like we're still in, our sellers don't need to do as much as they maybe used to have to do. So what I might say is, let's declutter, let's get a fresh coat of paint, let's clean the carpets. We're good.
Right. And they're like, I was planning on redoing the entire kitchen.
Yes.
And it's like, you might not have to.
Right. And that's why it's never too early to start, because I'd rather be able to start early and give you guys all of this information than maybe have you spend money on something that you don't need to.
Yes. And what this also helps is like, oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's why the to-do list is so important.
Yes. And what I love about the to-do list is I did a video blog a while ago.
Loves to-do lists.
I love to-do lists. I did a video blog a while ago, and it was to create your to-do list for every season. So when we say, let's say you're buying in a year, or you're buying and selling in a year, or just selling in a year, like there's certain things that you can do certain times of year, so it spreads it out.
Yeah.
If we have a client that wants to list their house and it's an old house with a wood exterior that needs to be painted, we're kind of in a bind. Like we have to make sure we're finding that slew of days that's going to be warm, apparently on Monday. Like what? Not today. Where you can paint the exterior of your house. You can find, where you can do some extra landscaping during the summer months. So as we're doing that to-do list, we can start to kind of balance it out to make sure we're doing them in the season that's fit and right. And then each summer you're like, okay, here's what I need to do. And you really, it's clear on that.
Yep. And that's also something that we can take photos too. If we've met and we have an understanding of timeline, we can take photos in the summer if you need to list in the, winter or fall or whatever it might be too.
So if you're like, it's in the spring, and when your house just like, it's
like a week.
You're like, that's the week. That's the one. You put that on your calendar to say, hey, we've got to get, we've really got to get a photographer out there. If your pool and your patio is amazing, we don't want to put photos on the MLS of, you and grandma hanging out at the pool.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that it's an actual, legitimate exterior photo to capture all of the landscaping outdoors. So that's what we mean when we're talking about creating this to-do list for every season.
I have a magnolia tree that blossoms for like 4 days.
But boy, those 4 days.
And then it's just covered in leaves for the rest of the year. But I want to get my pictures on that day.
You do? Okay, so within the listing consultation, you talk about your to-do list.
We're talking about, and in that is, maybe repairs that need to be done, staging tips, decluttering tips. The next thing that we're going to do is really chat about, numbers. And what's really important with this is there's a lot of numbers that go into selling. First and foremost, what is the value of my home? Right. So there's a lot of numbers that go into this as well. Of course, the market analysis. So that's going to be, we have a whole Friday with friends on pricing your home, but the market analysis, we're also going to be doing something called an absorption rate, which is basically how quickly we expect your property to absorb into the market or sell, for lack of a better term. But then we're also going to be looking at, what does it cost to sell my house? What do I need to pay for? And that's really important as well for sellers to know, so they can analyze all of those numbers.
And again, guys, we are... Hi, Kayla. Hi, Jeff. Thanks, guys. So when we're talking about all of these things, this is why it's so important for us to know what your timeline is and what this motivation is, because you could have a house where we say, listen, we're going to list it, and it's on average, your property sells in about 60 to 90 days. Or she's going in and you're saying, no, on average, based off the absorption rate, your house is probably going to sell in a week. That's going to decide how we're running these numbers.
Exactly.
And also when you're talking about your seller's net sheet, it's so important that we know these numbers numbers so that you know what you can afford to buy.
Yeah. So basically what a seller's net sheet is Mandy's second favorite thing besides to-do lists are Excel docs. So it's a nice Excel doc that our team has created that you plug in your purchase price, and then we give averages or pretty close to prices that would be fees for you to sell the house. So attorney fees, your abstract, your survey, brokers commissions, things like that. So that all goes into a nice Excel sheet that pops out your number at the bottom of what you'd walk away with. So what's really great about that feature is you can really educate yourself on, wow, if my house sells for a little bit more than what I expected, what do those numbers look like?
So it gives you a range. We're not just, hey, this is what the value of your house is, but it's what are you going to walk away with? Yeah. And what our numbers look like? And it's never perfect, but it's a range so that you know going in. Yeah. And then that's how you can either start saving or to say, no, when we're in a really good spot.
We're in a good place. Yeah. So when we're at the listing consultation, the first thing that we do is do a quick walk around. We chat about our to-do list and we prioritize that. Then we talk about numbers. What's next?
So the last thing that we'll do is just kind of set you up for some things to start thinking on your radar. A lot of the things that we've found to be helpful is like, guys, do you know where all your paperwork is for your house?
Nope.
Like when you sell it, you're like, folder, gone. Yeah. But to be able to make sure you're compiling all the warranties for any of your appliances or anything that you've put in your house, to contact and we can help with this, to find your old survey and your title, that kind of thing, it can save you like literally hundreds of dollars if you can find those. So not being like, I don't know where it is, I don't have time to look for it, but to start thinking about where those are is huge. So that's kind of the final piece when we wrap it up, just to give you some additional tasks.
Yeah, great.
So
and that's it. And then also in that listing consult, besides, the to-do list, running numbers, talking about documents, we're also going to be talking a little bit about our team and with our marketing. Just a small detail. A little bit about our team when it comes to marketing and what we do to sell your home, which is obviously so crucial. Social media, professional photos, all of that good stuff too.
Yeah, so we get to know you get to know us, and then we create that game plan together. So that's number 4.
That's number 3.
Number 4 is make a game plan.
Number 4 is make a game plan. You're right.
I'm always getting ahead of myself. Yeah. So the fourth piece is, now that we've understand your motivation, your timeline, we've been able to meet, look at the house, all of that, we're able to make this game plan that can then take us until you're ready to sell your house.
Yes. So this game plan is really the time between we say, okay, yes, this is what we're doing, and okay, our house is on the market. So really this is when we're going to tackle that to-do list. And again, it might be short, and that's great, but we have a ton of contractors that we use and work with a ton that we can recommend. And we're also just going to be constantly here for if you need tips, suggestions, what should I do? We have another Friday with Friends about like quick little tips. If your, bathtub's pink, what do we do? And we're constantly here to help with those just little tips.
And what we even do is clients say, okay, I've done this kitchen. What do you guys think? Or I changed out the knobs and the hardware.
Yes.
And they'll be sending us photos, and it's to be able to be like, awesome. No, pick these ones. Okay, this pink color. Yes, hashtag agreeable gray.
Agreeable gray. Best color.
Agreeable gray is going well. We just did that at our house. If anyone's following me, a kitchen renovation is getting pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah.
But, so to really just work through that to-do list, and the list of contractors we have is phenomenal. Yeah. Whether you are selling your house or not, know that you can always reach out to us to find reputable people that can help you with certain home on odds and ends stuff.
Perfect.
So also during that time, not only are we working through that to-do list, but we're keeping an eye on the market. So one of the things that we want to be doing is set up a search for you so that you know what else is happening in the market. So in your neighborhood, we want to know, okay, we want to see any properties that are in the Fairport School District from 150 to 250. So that if there are new properties coming on or selling or pending, we're able to see how's that going to affect our price. So keeping a close eye on that.
Because that's really important for a lot of my clients where we meet maybe in 2018, but then they decide to not put their house on the market till 2020. Those numbers that we talked about are probably going to change in the course of 2 years. So constantly keeping an eye on the market for you is really critical as well, to say, oh wow, this property just popped up down the street and it sold above what we expected. Let's keep an eye on it. And of course, that's going to be a new comparable for us.
Yes.
It's constantly changing.
It is. And that's the whole piece, is things can change, and your motivation that you originally thought it could be totally different.
Yeah.
Like you're like, okay, well now I actually, that promotion I ended up getting sooner, or, my kids kid schedule change, or jobs change it, or medical reasons. Things change constantly, but when we're able to do all this homework in advance, everything can, flip a switch. And like we said before, this is all if you're a way out. These are all things that you can be doing. However, if you want to list tomorrow, we're also ready to rock and roll, and that can happen soon. And then there's not as many tabs, but we can still make it so that it's seamless and it's quick and nice and easy for you guys too.
Definitely. We've had it happen in many different ways. Mm-hmm. I've had someone reach out, I didn't think about this one, Sunday, and we put the house on the market on Monday. Yeah. So it's happened, but we also have people that we met with 3 years ago, and they're just putting their house on the market. So it's never too early to start, and whatever works best for you in your timeline, we'll make it happen.
Yes. So to review, we talked about 4 things that you can do to help create an awesome game plan and help your transition of selling to be nice and easy. Number one is understand your motivation. Why do you want to sell? Number 2, your timeline. Based off that motivation, how quickly do we need to get our ducks in a row to make sure that we are aligning that timing with your motivation?
Perfect. And then number 3 is sit down and have a listing consultation with our team. This is where we really go through, staging tips, to-do lists, prioritize for you, numbers, market analysis, all of that good stuff.
Yep. And then the 4th part is just to make and follow through with that game plan with our help from the team, whether it be with contractors, tips and suggestions, and keeping an eye on the market with values that are happening in and around your neighborhood.
Perfect.
Cheers, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
No, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this edition of Friday with Friends. Friday with Friends is our opportunity to talk to you about what's going on in the market, to share, answer any questions that you may have, so that when you have any real estate needs or your friends or family do, you will think of us, because we would love the opportunity to represent you. You can find us here on Facebook. You can find us at www.friendonyourside.com. And our number is everywhere, so you can always reach out. And we really look forward to helping, and thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Bye.